The Lizzie Borden House, a legacy of murder and haunting. In the quiet, unassuming town of Fall River, Massachusetts, stands a simple, two-story house that has become infamous across the United States and beyond. This is the Lizzie Borden House, the site of one of the most gruesome and puzzling murders in American history. The year was 1892, and the brutal killings of Andrew Borden and his wife Abby by axe sent shockwaves through the nation. The prime suspect in the murders was their daughter, Lizzie Borden, who, despite being acquitted in court, remains tied to the crime in popular culture. But beyond the bloody history, the house itself is now believed to be haunted by the restless spirits of the victims and possibly by Lizzie herself. Today, the Lizzie Borden House is a museum and bed and breakfast, drawing in visitors fascinated by its dark past and the eerie encounters reported by those who dared to stay the night. The story of the Borden murders begins on a hot August day in 1892. The Borden family consisted of Andrew Borden, a wealthy but frugal businessman, his second wife, Abby Borden, and his two adult daughters, Emma and Lizzie. The Bordens lived a relatively quiet life, though there was tension within the household. Lizzie and her sister Emma were known to have a strained relationship with their stepmother, Abby, and there were frequent arguments over financial matters. Despite their wealth, Andrew Borden was notoriously stingy, refusing to indulge in the luxuries that their neighbors enjoyed, and the family lived a life of strict discipline and modesty. On the morning of August 4, 1892, the Borden household would be forever changed by a horrific crime. Sometime between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., Abby Borden was found dead in the guest bedroom of the house, having been struck multiple times in the head with a sharp object, later determined to be a hatchet. Her body was discovered lying face down on the floor, her skull caved in from the force of the blows. The brutality of the attack shocked even the most seasoned investigators. Less than 2 hours later, Andrew Borden returned home after running errands in town. He lay down on the living room sofa for a nap, unaware that his wife had already been murdered upstairs. At approximately 11 a.m., Andrew was attacked in a similarly brutal manner, struck repeatedly in the head with the same hatchet. His face was so severely disfigured that it was barely recognizable. The murderer had delivered the fatal blows with such force that one of Andrew's eyeballs had been split in two. The only people known to be in the house at the time of the murders were Lizzie Borden and the family's maid, Bridget Sullivan, who was outside cleaning windows when the second murder occurred. Lizzie was the one to discover her father's body and alerted Bridget and the neighbors. However, suspicion quickly fell on Lizzie, as her statements to the police were inconsistent, and she seemed unusually calm and detached for someone whose parents had just been murdered in such a gruesome manner. Lizzie was eventually arrested and charged with the murders, and her trial became a national sensation. The media portrayed her as a proper, church-going woman who could never have committed such a heinous crime, but many believed she was guilty. Despite the circumstantial evidence against her, including the fact that Lizzie had attempted to buy prussic acid, a form of poison, the day before the murders and had allegedly burned a dress stained with blood, the jury found her not guilty, and she was acquitted in June 1893. The case was never solved, and the question of who killed Andrew and Abby Borden remains a mystery to this day. However, for those who believe in the paranormal, the spirits of the Bordens never left their home on 2nd Street. Since the murders, numerous reports of ghostly activity have been documented in the house, leading many to believe that the restless souls of Andrew, Abby, and perhaps even Lizzie herself still haunt the place where their lives were violently ended or forever changed. Today, the Lizzie Borden House is both a museum and a bed and breakfast, offering visitors a chance to step back in time and experience the chilling atmosphere of the infamous crime scene. The house has been meticulously preserved to look exactly as it did on the day of the murders, with period furnishings and decor that transport guests to the late 19th century. But for many, it is not just the history that draws them to the house, it is the ghostly presence that is said to linger in every room. One of the most commonly reported hauntings involves the spirit of Abby Borden, whose violent death in the guest bedroom left a lasting imprint on the house. Guests who have stayed in the room where Abby was murdered have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair, as if the energy of that tragic day is still present. Some have seen the ghostly figure of a woman, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, standing at the foot of the bed or peering into the room from the hallway. Others have felt the sensation of being watched or touched by an invisible hand while lying in bed. On more than one occasion, guests have awakened in the middle of the night to hear the sound of footsteps walking across the floor, even though no one else was in the room. The living room, where Andrew Borden was killed, is another hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors have reported hearing strange noises, such as the sound of heavy breathing or the creaking of the sofa where Andrew was murdered. Some have seen shadowy figures moving through the room, while others have experienced cold spots, even on warm summer days. One particularly chilling report comes from a guest who claimed to have seen the ghost of Andrew Borden sitting on the sofa, his face a pale and bloody mess, staring blankly ahead as if reliving the moment of his death. The house's basement is also a source of unease for many visitors. It is here where the hatchet that was believed to be the murder weapon was found, and the atmosphere in the basement is said to be heavy and oppressive. Those who venture into the basement often report feeling a sense of dread, as if something malevolent is lurking in the shadows. Some have even claimed to hear disembodied voices or feel a sudden drop in temperature when they enter the space. The second floor of the house, where Lizzie and her sister Emma's bedrooms were located, is another area where strange phenomena have been reported. Some guests have heard the sound of a woman crying softly in the night, while others have seen the figure of a young woman, believed to be Lizzie, wandering the halls or standing at the top of the staircase. It is said that Lizzie's spirit may still be restless, either reliving the trauma of the trial or perhaps trying to clear her name from beyond the grave. One of the most unsettling encounters occurred in the kitchen, where visitors and staff have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a maid, believed to be Bridget Sullivan, moving about as if still performing her household duties. The smell of freshly baked bread or the scent of lavender, which was used to clean the house in the 1890s, has been noted in the kitchen, even when no one is cooking or cleaning. Some believe that Bridget's spirit remains in the house, perhaps reliving the fateful day when she was one of the only living witnesses to the aftermath of the murders. Beyond these specific sightings, the entire house is said to be alive with paranormal energy. Guests and staff alike have reported strange occurrences such as doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering, and objects moving inexplicably. Some have heard the faint sound of voices whispering in empty rooms or the soft hum of a woman's voice singing in the distance. Others have felt an inexplicable chill, as though they were being followed by an unseen presence as they moved through the house. For those who are brave enough, the Lizzie Borden House offers overnight stays, allowing guests to sleep in the very rooms where the infamous murders took place. While some guests come for the history, others come in search of the paranormal, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spirits that are said to haunt the house. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have flocked to the house for years, capturing eerie EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, strange orbs of light, and even full-body apparitions on camera. One particularly chilling EVP recording, captured in the guest bedroom where Abby Borden was killed, seemed to contain the voice of a woman saying, "Help me," followed by the sound of footsteps moving quickly across the floor. Another recording, taken in the basement, captured the faint sound of a woman's voice whispering, "He's here," though no one was in the room at the time. Despite the numerous reports of ghostly activity, the true mystery of the Lizzie Borden house remains unsolved. Was Lizzie truly responsible for the murders of her father and stepmother, or was there another, unknown assailant who committed the crime? While the courts may have cleared Lizzie of the charges, the house itself seems to hold on to the secrets of that fateful day, and the spirits of Andrew and Abby Borden seem unwilling to rest until the truth is known. Today, the Lizzie Borden House stands as a macabre reminder of one of America's most notorious unsolved murders. Its dark history, coupled with the eerie encounters reported by visitors, makes it a place where the past is never truly gone, and where the line between the living and the dead is blurred. For those who visit, the Lizzie Borden House offers not only a glimpse into the grisly events,